Tashdile and welcome to Tibet This Week, a weekly news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Let's look at the headlines first. I am healthy, my mind is sharp and I pray to live for over 100 years, says His Holiness the Dalai Lama at Tenshuk ceremony, Bodh Gaya. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar calls on His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Bodh Gaya. CTA issues response to China's white paper on Tibet's environment. China continues travel restrictions on Tibetans despite international outcry. Tibetans across the world ended the year 2018 on an auspicious note with blessings from their spiritual leader, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who affirmed to live for more than 100 years for the benefit of the Tibetan people and the cause. Speaking at the Long Life prayers organized by Central Tibetan Administration on Monday this week, His Holiness the Dalai Lama said, "At such a critical juncture in our history, I think I have done a considerable service to the Tibetan cause and people. Even today, I am very healthy, my mind is extremely sharp, and I pray to live for more than 100 years to continue my service. Similarly, all of you should collectively pray." Elaborate ceremonial offerings were presented to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, representing the collective aspirations of 6 million Tibetans and their fervent prayers for His Holiness's long life. CTA made an offering of 113 statues of Buddha. The offering is an auspicious symbol of His Holiness the Dalai Lama's long life. The Tenshuk offering is also being observed for the pacification of all obstacles of the 84th year of His Holiness's life and for the fulfillment of his benevolent wishes. Tibetan spiritual leader His Holiness the Dalai Lama conferred the solitary hero Yamantaka Empowerment in Bodh Gaya on Wednesday last week. The Yamantaka Empowerment is a secret mantra empowerment of the highest class known as highest yoga tantra. Yamantaka is a wrathful expression of Manjushri, the Bodhisattva of wisdom. As he began to give the empowerment, His Holiness clarified that solitary hero Vajrabhairava was the first empowerment he received as a child and he received it from Tagra Rinpoche. Solitary hero Vajrabhairava was also the principal practice of the 13th Dalai Lama. Beginning Friday last week, His Holiness conferred the first of the 3-day empowerments on the Wheel of Teachings on Manjushri at Bodh Gaya. His Holiness explained that the particular empowerment was a profound, unique tradition of the Gelug school. His Holiness the Dalai Lama made a pilgrimage to Mahabodhi temple before concluding his 17-day-long visit to Bodh Gaya on Wednesday this week. His Holiness gave a series of Buddhist teachings to underscore the essence of Buddha Dharma and encouraged devotees to observe ahimsa or non-violence in their conduct, karuna or compassion as their motivation, and dependent arising as the view of reality. Honorable Chief Minister Sri Nitish Kumar of Bihar called on His Holiness the Dalai Lama at the latter's residence in Bodh Gaya on Monday this week. The Central Tibetan Administration issued an official response to China's white paper on Tibet's environment entitled Central Tibetan Administration's Response to the People's Republic of China's White Paper on Tibet's Ecology 2018 on Monday this week. Secretary Sonam Norbu said that the environmental concerns are apolitical and universal in impact. The ecological health of the Tibetan plateau, which also functions as the roof of the world, is vital for the well-being and the sustainability of the entire world, including China. Tempe Gelson called out China on its failure to mitigate the alarming conditions in Tibet and for further aggravating the environmental crisis by increasing scale of resource extraction and dam construction across Tibet. The 21-page official response covers extensively on the impact of climate change on the Tibetan plateau, destructive mining, breach of environmental norm, irresponsible damming, mega dams destabilizing the fragile plateau and threatening millions of lives in Asia, forceful removal of Tibetan nomads, rampant littering with garbage treatment facilities provided only in cities, and increasing natural disasters in Tibet. In order to effectively tackle the environmental issues in Tibet, CTA urged the Chinese government to respect and protect the rights of the Tibetan people's cultural beliefs in the sanctity of the sacred mountains, lakes and rivers of the Tibetan plateau. His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama recently concluded teachings at Bodh Gaya. Attending the annual teachings and prayers conferred by His Holiness has almost become an intrinsic part of an individual Tibetan's annual religious sojourn. Tibetans all over the world try to attend the same, but this has become perilous to Tibetans in Tibet under Chinese occupation. At the recently concluded teachings, barely 100 Tibetans from Tibet were able to attend, as reported by mainstream Tibetan media. This is mainly due to the severe restrictions on passport imposed by the Chinese authorities. When Tibetans in Tibet apply for passports, they are subjected to discriminatory practices targeted to discourage Tibetans from applying. China has been adopting a two-track passport policy at the detriment of Tibetans. In August last year, a group of UN experts expressed serious concern over the policies and legislation of the two-track passport system, specifically targeting and discriminating against members of the Tibetan minority, and sought information from the Chinese government on this. The UN Committees on Elimination of Racial Discrimination, in its report released in the same month after reviewing China, highlighted the almost banning of issuance of passports to Tibetans for foreign travel, and recommended China to revise its regulations and practices to ensure non-discriminatory determinations on passport applications and freedom of movement for Tibetans within and beyond Tibet Autonomous Region and abroad. Even during the third cycle of Universal Periodic Review of China by the Human Rights Council, the member states called on China to cease restrictions on Tibetans' freedom of movement. Tilne Chuki of UN and Human Rights Desk of Department of Information and International Relations of Central Tibetan Administration said, "Despite the international pressure, China continues to restrict Tibetans' movement, especially of their foreign travel. The denial of issuance and reissuance of passports for Tibetans has curtailed them from undertaking pilgrimage to holy Buddhist sites and attend the teachings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. While China continues to brazenly disregard international norms and UN recommendations, it becomes incumbent on UN member states to further engage with China and ensure that they uphold their commitments." So much for this week. See you next time and have a great weekend.